Howdy friends and neighbors, the Kentucky Patriot here. Hope you've enjoyed the recent videos we've done with Marvin, just a great guy, great family friend. We've had a lot of fun, just had the opportunity to shoot some things I've never got to shoot before. So if you haven't checked out those videos, if you would, go check them out for me. And I've talked to Marvin, so hopefully we're gonna get back out on the range and do some more fun stuff. So I appreciate him and all the fun that we had. Also, here in a few days, I've got a trip scheduled. We're going to try to make some videos with another YouTuber that I'm sure that you'll know and be familiar with. So we're really looking forward to that too. So got a lot of fun things. Hopefully that'll we'll get to do. But I just want to talk to you real quick about magazine capacity and magazine storage, how you store your magazines, how you run your magazines. And I'm basically talking on home defense, because if you watch this channel, I talked about your carry pistol, and so that's a whole kind of different subject, kind of different topic, and I've already discussed it. But just real quick on like home defense is what I want to talk about. Let's say your AKs, your ARs, just your home defense rifles, whatever you're using. People will ask all the time, or you sit on discussions and forums and topics and magazines, all this stuff about magazine storage and capacity. You do whatever you want. It's a free country. I'm just going to tell you what I do and what I prefer and what I like. And I will tell you this. I think it's real important that you don't put all your eggs in one basket. And what I mean by that is if you have a firearm wherever it is in your house, and that's your only egg basket, you may very well be in trouble. And what I mean by that is if it's downstairs and you're upstairs and something happens, or if it's upstairs and you're downstairs and something happens, or if your kitchen's on one side of the house and your kid's bedroom's on the other side of the house, and then your firearm's on this side of the house, and then an intruder comes in through your front door, what I'm saying is you need to have good tactics where you're always able to get to a firearm. A lot of people carry their gun on them in the house, and that's perfectly acceptable. I do that a lot, but sometimes you don't when it's later at night or whatever. But still being able to get to a mean of protection is pretty important. And a lot of times I think people talk themselves out of a good idea because they're afraid they'll be, somebody will think they're crazy or paranoid or insane. And for instance, people will say, and I guarantee you, people's probably told you this, you bet you would take a gun with you when you shower, and they'll laugh and kind of make fun. But the truth is, I'm sure you gun guys know, and you've seen the story where the guy was literally in the shower, had a home invasion, and he had that gun, able to get it in a waterproof container there with him in the shower, and was able to defend his life. So, people make jokes and cliches about, oh, you're always having this, or but the truth is, if you're a single mom, if you are a single guy and live by yourself and you don't have anybody else watching your back, so to speak, and if you've got a very capable wife or very capable husband and you're in the shower and they're able to get to a firearm, that's one thing. But if you're single and live by yourself, you got to be able to protect yourself. And listen, one, your life is more important than what people think. So don't worry about if they do give you a hard time or say you wear 10 full hats. But number two, here's the other thing. I kind of put myself out here on a video, but you don't have to. You don't have to tell anybody what you do. Just as long as you know you're prepared and you're able to defend yourself, that's all that matters. So what I'm saying about a magazine is when I talk about this, I do think if you do have a primary weapon that you've got by your bed, so while you're asleep at night, you've got one weapon that your go-to, that's okay. But still have a few other options too is what I'm trying to say. But as far as magazines, I'll tell you what I do. I won't tell you how many, but yes, I have rifles with extra magazines ready to roll. I do not fully load any of them. I talked about, like I told you before, in my carry gun, I do not load them to full capacity. Neither do I with my rifles either. Now, there's a debate whether long time spring compression will hinder the use of the magazine or will cause the magazine to fail and not run reliably. That's up for debate, okay? People can debate that. It goes on all the time. What they can't debate is that it does compress the spring. Okay, now people will debate all the time, well, it still runs, it doesn't hurt the function of it, but a compressed spring over time will compress the spring. So this is what I suggest. You do whatever you want to do. Now, if it's a range magazine, don't worry about it. Just use it, have fun with it, go. But now for your home defense magazines, yes, I do keep them loaded, and even though I do not load them to the 30 round max, I do still keep them very heavily loaded. 25 at least, sometimes 26, 27, 28, whatever. But I do load them really high, okay? Well, so is that magazine compression going to hurt? Like I said, for long periods of time, that's again up for debate, but this is what I do. This is what I'd tell you to do. Magazines aren't that expensive. They're really not. Every 5 or 10 years, again, not the range, just what you're using for home defense that your life depends on. Get good quality magazines, but every 5 to 10 years, why don't you change those? I know you can get parts to replace the springs, but why don't you just, instead of replacing the springs and stuff, why don't you just replace those magazines? Now, I'm not saying throw your old ones away. Absolutely not. Throw them in the range bag. Throw them in your gun cabinet. I'm not saying they're garbage, but what I'm saying is, I'm not saying that spring compression won't hinder you, but I don't know. So I think after 5, 10 years, something like that, whatever you feel comfortable with, like I said, magazines aren't expensive, just change them out, okay? And there's other reasons why I don't load to capacity, but the other thing is, now again, I'm not talking military. Absolutely, if I was on duty, service, military, absolutely, I'd load 30. And I agree, I've heard Paul Harrell say, nobody ever says, gee, I wish I had less ammo. I agree with that 100%. They'll say all the time, the only 2 times you can have too much ammo is if you're drowning or on fire. I agree with that totally. But I'm not talking duty, military, any kind of professional, whether it's like a security group, I'm not talking about any of that. All I'm talking about is for me and you, home defense. What I'm telling you is if you have an AR, AK, whatever, and you've got a 30-round magazine in the gun, and let's say you do have 27 rounds in there, okay? Then you've got a couple extra magazines. I can't imagine those 3 magazines not being able to solve any problem. And if you did have an extra 2 or 3 rounds in there, I don't think that's going to make that much of a difference. I really don't. Now, you do whatever you want to do. I won't tell you how many magazines I have. I won't tell how many magazines you need to have. But again, I think it's important, and especially if you live by yourself, you got to make adjustments. But if you've got a capable wife, and I'm not saying because she's my wife, but she shoots well, she shoots good or better than I do. She's very familiar with firearms. I have more than one rifle loaded, ready to go with extra magazines. And it doesn't matter which one I have, which one I'm available. Like if I want to grab my AR, she can grab another one. Or if I'm grabbing the AK, she can grab another. It doesn't matter to me or her who has what. We both know how. So when you've got 2 capable people with each have extra magazines for each gun, you're going to be well defended. So don't worry about loading your magazines to 30 and think, well, but I can fit 1 or 2 more rounds in there. I think you're better off with don't worry about the compression of the spring. And sometimes when you seat the magazine, I won't go into all of it, but if your round is 30 and that spring's tight and you try to seat that magazine, sometimes it can be harder to seat, give you a little bit of extra room for the spring contention. But if you're in a hurry and you're in a home defense situation and the only reason you have to reload a magazine would be because you went through 25 or 30 rounds, if you go through that many rounds, and your day's a bad day. So then when you try to go seat another magazine, if it's full to 30, it could fall out, things can happen. So like I said, you think you've seated it when you really haven't. So there's just some things to think about. But in general, I mentioned this in another video too, I won't go into all of it. I'm going to talk about ammo storage. Maybe another day, another video, but ammo will basically keep forever if you take care of it. And I had some old ammo that I shot in a video. It was a Hornady made back when Hornady, I showed the box. It don't even make it like that. I mean, it's probably back in the 70s. But you can get old rounds, even back before World War II or whatever, you can get the old military rounds. And as long as they've been kept dry and fairly temperature controlled, rounds usually last forever. And the reloaders, the same thing, kind of watch your primers. But anyway, when you store your magazines, I'm just specifically talking about magazines today, the same principle applies. So watch how and where you store your magazines, guys. Don't think, well, I've got a bunch of these magazines out in the garage. Well, as long as your garage is heated and cooled, that's okay. But if it's not, you're not going to be able to trust that ammo. And if you're, or whatever the case may be, if you have a basement that draws moisture or something, be careful because it doesn't take a whole lot of moisture to begin to get around that primer, begin around your brass. It still may fire, it still may not, but what I'm saying is you don't want to risk your life with magazines that's been stored improperly when you need them, hoping they'll go bang, okay? So just be careful about your magazines, but what I do is I keep my rifles that I'm going to use for home defense strategically wherever they may be, and yes, I do have extra magazines. So if you don't want to load, don't let guys pressure you in. Now if you want to load 30, man, or in the gun you first have, if you want to load 30 then load 25, whatever, I don't care how you do it. It's not about how you do it, it's about what's best for you and keeping you safe. But what I'm telling you is, if you have 25, 30 rounds in your gun and you've got a couple magazines extra with your gun, you're talking a lot of rounds for home defense, okay? And I agree. I'm a prepper. You know, I always like to prepare and be ready for the worst case scenario. But the odds of you using 90, 100, 120 rounds for a home defense situation is pretty slim. Even if people say, yeah, but what if I get invaded by all this civil unrest and a mob? Anything can happen. Always keep extra magazines, absolutely. But even though people seem to be determined a lot of time, I don't want to get too graphic or too violent. I don't want to sound like that, come off that way at all. But even if they seem like they're determined, when they start seeing their buddies fall and they see a lot of gunpowder and a lot of brass flying and a lot of noise and a lot of flash, they usually get the message pretty quick and they're not as determined as you think they are. So the odds of somebody kicking in your door and them being 75 of them is pretty slim, okay? So again, I'm not trying to talk you into anything or out of anything, but I would store some extra magazines, have them close by. I would, be prepared, have plenty of ammo. But like I said, I don't load to the max. I'm not on my carry gun either. That's up to you. Now if I carried a revolver, that's a different story. But I'm talking about your semi-autos. But that's just me. Let me know how you store your magazines. Let me know if you load to full capacity. Let me know what you think and why, your opinion. And here's the thing, you guys are fabulous. And I'll tell you, somebody's even mentioned on this channel about how sweet you guys are, that my audience. They said, man, you've always got the best guys. They're always so sweet. And we're a small group. I got a small channel, but you guys are. You're always polite. It's a wonderful bunch of guys. But you see on these gun forums sometimes and on these debates where people just get plumb upset and they begin to call names and carry on. Listen, hey, whether you load 25 or whether you load 30, we're all in this together. It's not about who loads what and who's got the best ideas. It's about what's best for you, what's best for me. Ultimately, at the end of the day, if you can keep you and your family safe, that's all that matters, okay? So anyway, long story short, watch how you store them. That's important. And you guys got to watch too if you have a truck gun. Your magazine's in that truck gun, because there's no way you have that climate controlled all the time. Hot, cold, summer, winter. So what do? Not too big of a deal. Just change your ammo a lot more often. When I told you ammo would last forever, that's pretty much in a controlled environment. So if you're in a car where it's 100 degrees, 10 degrees, over a year's time, just switch out your ammo. And I'm not saying the ammo will be bad. It'll still probably run just fine, but it depends on how much the temperature, ups and downs. But just change your ammo out if you do have a truck gun. If it's real hot in the summer, you don't have to roll your windows down, but just kind of keep them cracked, keep it as cool as you can. Just some tips, just some things to think about, because usually when things start to go downhill and situations turn south and things get bad, it escalates really quickly. And if you're prepared, you're ahead of the game. You got your head on straight. You know what you're going to do. You're not panicking. You're not worried. You're not forgetting. You're not fumbling. Everybody in your house knows what to do, and it's just going to pay off for you. It's just going to help you. So, like I said, if you would, please like, share, and subscribe. I know people get tired of the redundancy. A lot of times I say it, a lot of times I don't. But I know in general on YouTube, people's like, well, I wish they wouldn't ask me for subscriptions. But it really means a lot. It really helps me. I'm really going to try to do my best to grow as much as I can. It gives me more opportunities to get to the range, to visit more people, to just have, because like I said, I get advertisement for this. So it gives me an opportunity, the bigger I am, to get better chances for ammo and stuff that I can test and show you. So if you would, just like, share, and subscribe. Tell your friends. We appreciate each and every one of you from the bottom of my heart. I do. When I tell you guys in the comments, thanks for watching, I appreciate it. I mean it from the bottom of my heart. You guys are great. Check us out on Facebook. May God bless you. Stay safe out there. The Kentucky Patriot, signing off.